Ready, now!
Hi, I'm Haley, student reporter for Music Express, and today I'm here with Tiana Liufau, who worked with Disney on the film Moana. Tiana, I loved the movie Moana.
Oh, good.
Can you tell me how you were involved in the movie?
Yes, I'm a member of the Oceanic Story Trust, which means I'm one of the consultants for the film. Specifically, I provided the motions and the dance, the choreography that you would see on the characters in the film Moana.
How do you do choreography for like a cartoon or something like that?
Right, that's a good question. This is the first time I actually had to work like that, where they would give me the music or the song or even the scene, explain it to me, walk me through it, and then I would get to take it home and work in my creative space and create motions and movements and poses and different postures to help the song come to life, I guess you could say, through body movement.
That's awesome. So were there any characters that you really specifically worked on?
I worked a lot with Maui, the Moana's father, the chief, and I more so worked a lot with Moana and Grandma Tala. So how that works is I would come in and I would do workshops with the animators, the directors, the producer, and I would do these movements and explain what everything meant to me and in a Polynesian frame of mind, in our culture, what each move meant and why I chose that move. And I would show them at different angles and I would show them and introduce them to it so that they could understand. And they would take notes and draw out everything that I would do.
Oh, wow. So how did Disney find you and ask you to do this wonderful movie?
So the relationship with not only me, but my family goes way back with Disney, back to my grandmother. My grandmother is from the island of Samoa, and she came here and started a dance company in Anaheim. So what had happened is a long time ago, they had a luau inside the theme park, and my grandmother and my mom were the casting directors, and they produced the whole show. So our relationship goes back with Disney. So when they like to reference things from the South Pacific, they actually have us as a contact for that.
Were there any specific songs that you worked on?
Yes, there was a couple different songs that I was able to work on. The first was from Maui, and it was the song, You're Welcome. That was the first song that I provided reference for. Another song would be the Village song. That one I had to provide reference for every single villager and character that you see, whether they're weaving something, whether they're harvesting a crop, or whether it was Grandma Tala doing the ocean motions, or it was a Moana. That one I provided a lot of choreography for. And I did a bunch of other scenes, but that one would be the most choreography or dance that I provided for the film.
Cool. Can I see some of the motions?
Of course. Let's see. For Grandma Tala, one of my favorite characters, I gave her a lot of oceanic, free-flowing movement that represents the ocean, as she was always encouraging Moana to voyage or journey out beyond what they knew from the ocean. So some of the motions that I gave her were mimicking exactly that. So if you see my hands, they're mimicking the waves. And wherever the waves will go, for us as Polynesian dancers, your eyes always follow the motions because the hands are what tell the story. So that was one that I used for Grandma Tala. See the different variations of the motion? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we have stronger motions that I provided for Maui and the father. Those are more sharp motions with a lot of clapping here and posings and hits and up and down. So I had to provide all kinds of different motions to evoke different feelings, different textures, different moods and scenes in the movie.
Wow. The Grandma Tala movements are really beautiful.
Oh, thank you. That was like one of my favorite aspects of working with the film, was providing for Grandma Tala, because she reminded me so much of my own grandma.
Aw, that's so cool. Where is your family from originally?
Well, that's a good question. My family comes all throughout Polynesia. And my lineage goes back to 3 different islands: Samoa, Hawaii, and the island of Tonga. So my family comes from all throughout Polynesia.
What exactly does Polynesian mean?
So the geography of Polynesia is made up of a triangle. At the very, very top, we have the island of Hawaii. A lot of us say Hawaii. We say Hawaii. Then you travel all the way down over here, and you have what everyone calls Easter Island. In the native language, we call it Rapa Nui. Traveled all the way over here, or this is the other part of the triangle, and it's New Zealand, but we call it Aotearoa. Inside the middle of this triangle, you have the islands of Samoa, the kingdom of Tonga, the islands of Tahiti, and there's a lot of different islands. When you piece it all together, that would be the Polynesian Triangle.
Can you tell me a little bit about where you teach dance?
Yeah, we're actually here right in my creative space. We're at Nonosina Dance Studio. So Nonosina Dance Studio was actually started by my grandmother, who's from Samoa. The studio was handed down to my mother, and she took over the studio and kept the tradition going. Handed down to my older brother, who kept the legacy. And then I currently lead the studio Nonosina in Anaheim. So we're actually minutes away from Disneyland.
Can you tell me a little bit about your drumming, too?
Drumming and dance, music, all-encompassing is such an important part in our culture, which is why it was important to hand down the legacy to each generation. This is something that we're born and raised with because this accompanies our legends, our myths, our stories. This helps keep our culture and reminds us of who we are no matter where we are in this world. Music and dance is always incorporated in a Polynesian household. It helps keep the language. It helps bond the generations together. And it's a really special tool that we have that's celebrated in the home.
Well, that's really awesome.
Thank you.
So, did you get to see the movie as soon as it came out?
That's a really good question. It's a special question to me, and I'll tell you why. Of course, I would see the scenes or the references, the notes that I provided. I would watch them with the animators and the production crew. However, when I was given the opportunity to watch the film in its complete form, I actually declined from watching it a couple different times. And the reason being is we have a large studio here, and it's something really special that I teach my students. I have the interaction. We can feel the energy, or the mana, we call it, in Polynesian culture. I experienced that with them in the classroom. I wanted to experience that same energy and have that with my students in watching the film in its complete form from top to bottom. So to answer your question, the first time I watched it was the day it came out. In Nonosina, we had a private screening. There was 400 plus. Wow. 400 of us. And that was the first time I was able to watch it from top to bottom. And I couldn't have asked for a better way to view the film because I was with my family, I was with my grandma, and two, I was with all of my students. And that's the way that I wanted it.
Tiana, on behalf of all the students around the world, we'd like to thank you for your insight on the music and dance of Polynesia. How would you say goodbye in your native language?
So my grandmother, being from the island of Samoa, we would actually say tofa soifua.
Can you teach me how to say that?
Of course, repeat after me. Tofa
Tofa
soifua.
soifua.
Tofa soifua.
This is Haley, student reporter from Music Express magazine, saying Tofa soifua. Hey!